Hi guys, Ryan Cullinan here from Compare-Return, where our job is to connect expats with experts. Today's video is going to be about discretionary trust planning. So a discretionary trust is also what's typically known as a trust fund or family trust. These are very competent and complex structures. There's quite a few different things to take into consideration when setting up a discretionary trust, and there's a lot of broad topics to cover. What I would say about it, setting up a discretionary trust, is that every single person and family is vastly different. So it's really good to seek some bespoke advice before taking out a discretionary trust. So let's get started and let's talk about first, what is a discretionary trust? So a discretionary trust, contrary to popular belief, isn't actually a company or an entity. What a discretionary trust is an agreement. Typically that agreement is between three parties. The first person is the settlor, who is the person paying the money into the trust. The second person is the trustee, so that's the company which is being entitled to look after the money on behalf of the third party, which is the beneficiaries. That's typically the people that you want the money to go on to. So your children, grandchildren, could be a charity. So that's the structure of a trust. Now, the people who typically benefit from a trust structure are families who have assets of, say, more than $5 million US, who have multiple different asset classes. So they might have a couple properties, they might have a company, they might have a few cars even that they want to put into trust. A discretionary trust is a way to manage multiple classes of assets in the one different structure. So why would you need one? So the first thing is agility. So unlike a will and testament where you need to go into your lawyers and have it redrafted every time you want to make a change, a discretionary trust can be handy for families who might manage a company within a trust. So that means that, say for example, they've now had the trust, the grandparents are the settlors of the trust, and the children and the grandchildren are the beneficiaries. So it might be that one of the grandchild is now getting married. There's, say, now 6 grandchildren in total. So you've got a lot of members going on. So that might mean that one grandchild, they might want the wife to only get the money if they remain married. And if they divorce, then the trust stops paying them out a set amount of income. And there could be a whole heap of different things. It might be that they might want the trust to look after the company in a different manner. So what discretionary trust has is what they call a letter of wishes, which can be updated at all times. So that person can send off a letter of wishes to the trustee, and they can update what they do with the trust. So the trust is a living entity. It's a company of people who have been assigned to look after the assets on behalf of the beneficiaries. So it's agile, it's also generational, so it can take into a lot of different parties, and it's also consolidation. So what that means is that all your assets can be held neatly in one place. Another thing to remember if you're looking to put a company into a trust is that the trustee or the company entitled to look after your trust now owns your company. So say, for example, you were a 51% shareholder of a company, and that company gets placed into trust and you pass away, they now own your company. So that might sound very scary on the surface. Why would you ever give your company away to people you never know? Well, there's a few good reasons. And the first thing is that they're legally bound to have the beneficiary's best interest in heart as to what's pertaining in the letter of wishes. So say, for example, you've got a very rich family who's got a very successful business. You want that business to remain open, but your children have really no interest in running the day-to-day business. You might pass away, and all of a sudden the letter of wishes states that the business is to remain open and generating a good profit for forever. And all of a sudden you pass away, the new board of directors gets appointed, and the first thing the board of directors wants to do is to shut down the business immediately. Well, the trustee knows that that's not in the beneficiary's best wishes, so they can actually legally step in and prevent that from happening. So it's there to always benefit the beneficiary. So remember that. So that's one good example of why these structures can be helpful, as well as consolidation. So let's get on to an actual case study of someone who might look at taking out a discretionary trust. So this one is very creatively named the Smith Family Trust. So the Smith Family Trust has 3 children. It contains 4 properties, a company, the people live in Thailand and they have a property in the UK and they also want to donate to charities. Now, contrary to what used to happen in the past, where trusts had massive estate planning and tax planning benefits, that's no longer really the case. So a lot of countries' tax laws in the common law or the civil law actually look through trusts. So especially if you've got property in the UK, because UK has inheritance tax. A key traditional reason for taking out trust planning was to mitigate against inheritance tax. Largely nowadays, that's not the case. You can take out things such as discounted gift trusts, a DGT, where you can gift the assets away to the children to offset inheritance tax. You've got the 7-year rule. So there is a lot of things set up for UK expats. But in this regard, the people who own the trust aren't actually from the UK. One is from Australia and the other one is from Canada. So the reason why they took out the trust was because of the fact that the estates totaled about $18 million. They had the company and the properties, and it was all just getting a little bit too everywhere. They didn't know what was going to happen to them if they passed away. Settling properties in different countries and jurisdictions was going to be difficult for the children, even though they were adult age. So they decided to set up a trust to ensure that when they pass away, the company could remain open because that was one of their wishes. The children, neither all three adult children, none of them really had a keen interest to manage the day-to-day runnings of the company, but it was a good profit earner. So they wanted to keep the company open and to be managed for them. They also wanted the properties to be looked after. They were all rental generating properties and all very good places, so they wanted to keep that open. And the discretionary trust was a way to have a holding company own the properties, which had some tax benefits there, and also for the children, so to be able to look after that. So that's an example of someone who might use a discretionary trust. Hope this has been interesting for you today. If this is something which sounds like it may be of interest to you, feel free to read the article we've written about this on the website, as well as book in a meeting with myself. The idea of Compare Return is to connect expats with experts. My job as a broker is to put you in touch with companies who are able to do this for you and to set up a discretionary trust. Companies that we've vetted, we believe are suitable for the job, and to make sure that you're getting the very best advice from the very best people. Thank you very much for your time today. Hope you enjoyed.